Good afternoon, everybody. This is Kevin Addix, Director of the Maryland Wineries Association, here with another great guest, someone that we've been looking forward to having on, and we figured because it's getting close to our annual Governor's Cup competition, which has been delayed, we should have last year's winner on just to have a little chat. So I'd like to bring up Dave Collins from Cork Vineyards. Dave, thanks for being here.
Hey, Kevin, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Well, so you're sitting in a beautiful scenic spot with a tree in the background and barrels there. Tell us where you are.
Well, I'm actually sitting in the production room here at the winery here at Big Cork Vineyards. Our tasting room is just on the other side of me. We've got it all decorated for Christmas. So that's where I am. We're in the middle of winemaking today. We're got a big bottling coming up in 4 weeks. Our sales have been extremely robust, and we really had to advance the bottling dates and the bottling quantities so that we don't run out of wine. So we're really busy, even though harvest is over.
We got this whole mute problem. Talk to me about sales first, and then we'll talk about harvest. So the spring was pretty tough, but when outdoor accommodations were allowed again, things really picked up.
Well, that's true. That is really, I think, true for a lot of wineries that have large outdoor spaces like us. But the first few months were very difficult. We did offer some shipping discounts, and we were delivering, and we had curbside, but it doesn't make up for a busy weekend, a busy Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that we have through April, May, and June, and through the summer. So our revenues were really down. Our inventories, our bottled wine inventories were starting to back up. We were getting concerned about what was going to happen in a lot of ways. It's just been such, one of those years. And actually, when we think back on how 2020 has been for the past 6 months or 9 months, it's sort of hard to think about the progression of events that have taken place. But when we were allowed to open back up, we marked the grass out front here with social distancing crosses. And when people realized they had a safe outdoor place to come and enjoy music and bring their kids and dogs, we were literally inundated with our regular guests and a lot of folks in the area that just found out about us and needed a place to get out of their homes, get away, and just relax in a safe environment. So we've been all through spring and summer after we opened up, and especially in the fall, we've been extremely busy. Sales have been very robust. And so that's where we are. We've probably have already made up for our lost revenues early in the year.
That's a good thing. Not knowing how things are going to work out over the next few months.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about harvest. So we got mixed reviews on harvest from across the state. Some folks got a late frost and then inundated with rain late in the season. How are things at Big Cork?
Well, the vines here didn't seem to have any awareness of COVID. So they kept growing, and we realized, we had to keep on keeping on in the vineyard. And, we had all the, health concerns that, we have everywhere else. But regarding the harvest, I was amazed at the quantity and the quality from the 2020 harvest. I've never, in 35 plus years of growing grapes, I've never seen such a bountiful harvest of good, high quality fruit. And we got to the point where we basically could not put any more liquid in this winery, and we ended up having to sell some grapes. But our production this year from the 2020 vintage will be a little bit over 9,000 cases, which is about 50% more than we've ever made, and we feel like we're going to need it.
Well, if your sales have been picking up, yeah, it sounds like you are going to need that. You have continued to expand. You've got one of the larger vineyards in the state. How many acres in the ground currently?
Well, we have 38 acres in the ground. Of that, this year, 36 was producing.
And you've got more coming. You planted some this year and some on the way?
No, we did not plant this year, but next year we will have some more Sauvignon Syrah kicking in. Syrah is a variety we like to use for red wine, and especially our rosé. We had Chenin Blanc, our first harvest of Chenin Blanc this year, which I'm extremely excited about. We're using it for a blend with Viognier. And we are planting next year, we're putting in 2 acres of Vermentino and our first plantings of Tempranillo. So those are 2 varieties that we've grown here on the property for about 3 or 4 years now on an experimental basis. And they've proven themselves very adaptable to our growing environment, and good flavors, good sugars. So we're going in with the Vermentino, the Italian white, and Tempranillo, the Iberian red, the Spanish Rioja grape.
Where do you think those will head? Do you think the Tempranillo will be varietal material or blend?
Oh, I'm very hopeful it'll be varietal, and it'll occupy more of a kind of a mid-range red for us. We, as you know, Kevin, we focus a lot on fuller-bodied Bordeaux and also a Nebbiolo. All these are very full-bodied red wines, and I felt for quite a while we needed something a little more approachable, maybe with less tannin. And I've been intrigued by the wines of Portugal and Spain the last few years. I even traveled to Portugal and Spain recently to tour and taste there. So that's where we're thinking for the Tempranillo. The Vermentino, always looking for another crisp, dry wine to pair with our other dry whites, Chardonnay, Viognier, Sauvignon Blanc.
So aside from this upcoming really cool blend of Chenin and Viognier, do you have any white blends at the moment?
Well, we have the Russian Kiss, and that's probably the most well-known blend. I'm just kind of looking down the room here. Of course, as you know, Kevin, we blend pretty much everything as far as tweaking flavors and so forth. But as far as blends, the the Russian Kiss is our most well-known blend.
So just you brought Russian Kiss up. That made some news last year when the Russian embassy got interested. Tell us about that.
Right. Well, I can't remember exactly how it came down, but I guess we got a call from the Russian embassy, and they were curious about this grape or this wine, I guess. I think I had an opportunity to send a couple of bottles to the ambassador, and the ambassador and the agricultural minister from Russia contacted me and said, we'd like for you to come down and visit the embassy. And they wanted us to come down during one of their national holidays, Russia Day. And so we went down with about 3 or 4 other folks, really mostly from Russia, that were there to celebrate their country and their heritage. And we were able to pour the wine for all of these folks, and especially to the ambassador. I had a nice time talking with the ambassador, and he sat right beside us for the evening. And we have since been invited to Russia by one of the large wineries over there. They're also intrigued about these grapes that we're growing. Fanagoria, a big 1 million case winery in Russia, has been trying to get me to come over.
Some international consulting in the works?
Probably not. Probably just for fun. They're so professional at what they do. They're in the spirits business, and they do a lot of grafting and nursery and wine, of course. But it's the largest winery probably all of Asia and Europe.
Yeah. So these grapes, you kind of have a lock on these grapes. These are experimental. Explain the story. Experimental grapes that were brought in.
You're talking about the Russian hybrids.
Yeah.
Well, of course, Joe Fiola's got a big play in this, also being the small fruit specialist from Maryland. But my understanding of the story is a guy named Bob Goodman in Missouri brought in some experimental research varieties from Eastern Europe for disease research. And he sent them around to some of the other land-grant universities around the country. University of Kentucky was one, Missouri, of course. And a lot of the vines landed here in Maryland at the experimental vineyard on the Eastern Shore. And when I moved my career to Maryland, Joe pretty much put me in a headlock and said, Dave, you got to grow these grapes. I mean, it wasn't a physical headlock, but anyway, he had a lot to do with making me embracing these varieties. And we sent them off to California to be grafted. He was growing them own-rooted, and I wanted them to be grafted. So I sent them out to California. They were grafted by, at the time, it was Vintage Nursery. Now it's Wonderful Nursery. But I had some friends out there, and they grafted them and grew them and sent them back here. And the rest is history.
Yeah.
There I think there have been a couple of other nurseries that have gotten hold of our plant material, and they're now grafting it. Jeanette Smith is interested in these grapes. She's actually coming up here. She's from Virginia. Tony Wolf. So I think the word is out, especially now that one of the varieties is known to be downy resistant.
Yeah, which is huge.
Which is
yeah. Dave, tell our attendees, followers, viewers a little bit about your history pre-Maryland.
Well, gosh, it was in the early 80s. I got involved with the Virginia wine industry when there was a few wineries. Actually, at the time, there were 0 wineries in Loudoun County back in 83 and 84. Planted a vineyard there on the west side of Short Hill, and eventually went to work with Lou Parker at Willowcroft in Loudoun County. He was the first winery, and I worked with Lou there for 10 years and kind of fine-tuned the growing of the grapes, even though I've got a strong background horticulturally. But the winemaking, and then I got a call from Paul Breaux, and he brought me on board up in Western Loudoun, and I made wine there and helped the vineyard grow to over 100 acres, and large winery. I worked there for 14 years, and then I made the connection with Randy and Jennifer Thompson, and we put our vision together here up just north of really Loudoun County, very, very similar growing areas, soils, climate, geology, that sort of thing. And in 2011, we planted our first grapes.
And it was 2015 that you actually opened up on site at the vineyard.
Right. For a few years, we were operating a small winery in the city of Frederick while this building was being designed and built, and the business plan being put together. And then in 2015, we moved all the production from Frederick here to Rohrersville, which is a little town near Boonesboro, but this is Washington County, Maryland.
So when the winery first started, it was actually, for our local wine history buffs, we were in the facility that was Frederick Cellars, right on East Street.
Yeah, that was in Frederick. I think we took over there in 2012, so that was 8 years ago, and just made the first wines from our 2013 harvest here at the vineyard site, and made the Petit Verdot there that ended up winning our first Governor's Cup. That was the 13 Petit Verdot, and I think the that first Comptroller's Cup we made up there also, it was a Chardonnay.
Right.
But yeah, it was a temporary facility, and then in 2015 we moved everything out of Frederick to this building here, and now we're just moving into this building, getting larger tanks, getting more barrels, trying to squeeze in more wine production as our sales grow. It's been a real fun journey.
So tell us a little bit about the wines that you're producing. So you've got kind of your standard label, then you've got black label, and then you've got this new white label of some ice wine.
Right. Well, we've got a pretty large portfolio of wines that we make. Most of them are with a white background, but we do make some black label wines, mainly for our club. This is basically reserve wines, barrels that I select for additional aging, or for some reason are better wines, and we put them in the club. And but that's a very, very limited amount of wine that we produce. Usually, oh gosh, probably less than 500 cases of our black label wines. We have a trio of ice wines that we've made last year that have been very well received, and we've got a new package we have here for these. I've been making ice wines for many, many years, probably 20 or 25 years, and a very unique wine we made with one of the Russian grapes that we call Siberian Ice. So that's been a real fun wine, and some of the other varietals that we have coming on, as I mentioned, Chenin Blanc, and soon Vermentino, Tempranillo. But we probably have about 20 varieties that we grow here. You
mentioned your Syrah Rosé. That's always one of my favorites, just because of it tastes beautiful, but the color is spectacular.
Well, Kevin, sorry to disappoint, but this year all the Syrah went into red. Okay. We are making something a little different this year in the rosé department. I'm equally excited about. We've made a tremendous rosé from the Malbec grape. And Malbec, of course, is a wonderful Bordeaux and South American variety, but yeah, it's all very cherry-like, nice, bright flavors, and very, very fruity. Same genre as the Syrah, you might say, as far as those strawberry and watermelon and cherry kind of nuances.
So you've won the Governor's Cup in Maryland twice. What makes a Governor's Cup winning wine?
Sorry, what was the question?
What makes a Governor's Cup winning wine?
Oh, Governor's Cup winning wine.
What's the recipe?
Well, I can't give you the recipe.
Come on, I won't tell anyone.
Well, first of all, there's no recipes in this business, like there are in a lot of other, beverages. Well, this is a no-brainer here. But when I enter wines into a competition, if we can afford to enter a lot of wines, I enter a lot of wines. I enter a lot of wines, and I enter a lot of good wines. And that's a very simple recipe formula that I use. Since we entered Maryland and started entering wines in the Maryland competitions, we have won more gold medals by far and away than any other Maryland winery. You can go back year by year and Big Cork is almost in every competition. Mm-hmm. Wins top honors, either with numbers of golds or with cups like this. We won the Comptroller's Cup, I think twice, or maybe 3 times. I'm not sure. And then the Jack Allen Cup for fruit wines, we won that the first year. So, but Kevin, Maryland is making some exceptional wines. It's not only us. There's many wineries in Maryland that are really growing good grapes. They've got good winemakers. They've got good facilities, and really those are the 3 elements that go into producing award-winning wine: is the vineyards, the winemaker, and the facilities. It's kind of like a chef. The ingredients, yep, the kitchen, and the chef. It's a 3-legged stool, and they all have to be working together.
So let me broaden it and say, and just ask this. So you've seen the Virginia wine industry grow and evolve. You've seen the Maryland wine industry grow and evolve. Compare the two right now in terms of where they are in their evolution in terms of quality. I know that Virginia has exponentially more wineries than we do. But I've always gotten the sense that quality-wise, we're keeping up.
Well, I'm probably not the one to talk to about overall wine quality in Virginia, even though I was part of Virginia for 25 years. And I saw things change rapidly for the good over those years. In the early years, we could not sell a bottle of Chardonnay. And it wasn't because it was overpriced. It was because it was just, they weren't very good wines. And in the early years, we were learning how to grow grapes and we were learning the winemaking process. And all three of those legs on that stool were not working right. We didn't have good wineries. We didn't have good winemakers. The vineyards were not producing. The trellising was wrong. Over the years, Virginia had some investors come in with large money, putting up decent wineries with good equipment, hiring good winemakers that knew what they were doing, getting grapes from good mountain vineyards, hillside sites. And the experimentation with varieties was ongoing. And varieties like Viognier were a result of that. Petit Verdot, in some regards, Cabernet Franc was part of that. Albarino, a lot of pioneers in Virginia contributed to that. And Maryland is doing the same thing, but it's a few years behind. And the experimentation is happening in Maryland. We're starting to get some good quality winemakers, some decent facilities. We're seeing more grapes grown on good quality vineyard sites. So, and with the American wine drinking community seeking out better wines and different wines and local wines all the time, the incentive is there for Maryland to produce these wines, and they are, and they will continue to do so. Sorry.
No, I mean, I think you've got an interesting perspective, and the three-legged stool is spot on. And I feel like we've begun to figure that piece out. And it also helps that so many of the local industries around us are evolving at the same time, and technology and techniques are easier to share.
And in hindsight, at least with relative hindsight, COVID is impacting our businesses also, because people are looking for close by, safe entertainment. They're not traveling internationally. I mean, obviously nobody is traveling internationally, and most people aren't traveling at all. And people want to get out. They want to have their families experience different things. And wineries offer a wide variety of those things. And they come to the winery looking for different types of wines. They're curious about local products. And if we can keep the quality up and the price competitive, we will be successful.
I should mention that you're ending the term as a board member on the Maryland Wineries Association.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey man, all good things come to an end, right?
No, I'm just kidding. It was an honor to be on the board for those years.
Well, and it's been great because your advice and your perspective has been very helpful. We've got a lot of new entrants in the industry, and of course, while you were a new entrant, 6 years ago, not really, because you had been in Virginia for so many years. Your willingness to share information and kind of the knowledge that you brought to the industry has been phenomenal. So thank you for that on behalf of the industry and the board and our team.
Well, you're welcome. Kevin, and just kind of on that note, it was seeing the Virginia wine industry go through this progression 25, 30 years ago, 35 years ago, and now seeing it happen in Maryland. I know what's coming. I mean, it's not a matter of what's coming. It's a matter of when it's coming, because it's just the same progression that and track that Virginia was on. And we've got a lot of wonderful things ahead of us in Maryland.
Cheers to that. So as we start wrapping, tell us how people get your wines. How do they sign up for your wine club? What are your regular hours? Are things changing for the winter?
Sure. Our normal hours currently are, well, you know, they don't normally let me on that side of the doors. So you're probably asking the wrong person here. I don't mean that. We're open Thursday through Monday, 11 to 5 for wine purchases. We have, I believe we have tastings by appointment now. We don't have just walk-in tastings anymore, but we've got plenty of seating both inside the winery. We open up the production room on the weekends with tables and chairs with social distancing. We have heaters on the patio. So we have a lot of space. We've also opened back up on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 11 to 5 for curbside pickup and to-go purchases. We are in a very robust shipping season right now. We have, I think we are extending our free shipping through maybe indefinitely, but I think we're still offering free shipping, which a lot of our guests have taken advantage of. Our wine club is a tremendous value. Our entry-level club is $100 for 4 wines. It's a no-brainer, really, for $25 per bottle. All of our wines that we put in our club are more value than that, and some of them are $40, $50, and $60, even more. And then we have a upper-level 8-bottle club, which is the same thing. It's $25 a bottle. We have pickups every quarter. It's a real good value. We've got a large number of people that have taken advantage of our club and come out and get select wines, black label wines, very limited wines, sometimes library wines. We're doing a lot of unusual things also. We do several port wines. We have sparkling coming. So that's basically it.
Big fan of sparkling. So let me know when that's out.
Well, we should have something out by mid-February.
Great. And to join the club, people just log on to the website?
Yep, it's easy to do on the website, and like I said, it's $100. I don't think there's any contract to sign. I might get in trouble for saying this, but we're somewhat lenient if people have run into financial problems and have to, exit the club. I think we allow that, in those sorts of, situations. But I think a normal sign-up is for a year, and just 4 bottles of wine every 3 months.
That's great.
It's an easy deal, and it's a good value, good product.
And you said that as a wine club member, you do get some exclusives?
Yeah, I forget what they are. I think we have discounted tickets for events. Like, for example, this Saturday, I'm conducting a library tasting. We're actually doing a horizontal tasting of the 2016 vintage, which will be. So we offer discounted tickets for things like that. In the summertime, next year, certainly COVID will be past us, and we have music events that club members get discounted entry into. If we tastings, even with the reservations, are discounted, it's a pretty good deal.
Well, it sounds like it, and I hope people do check it out. Dave, I want to thank you for joining us. It's been good having you.
You're welcome, Kevin. My pleasure, always.
And
happy holidays to you and to the team as well. And stay warm. You got some snow this morning.
Yeah, we had a few flurries, I think.
Well, it's more than we got in Baltimore County here. So, listen, cheers to everybody, and thank you.
All right, Kevin, take care. Merry Christmas.
You too. You as well. And to those who are tuning in now live or time shifting and watching us a little bit later on, that was Dave Collins. He's a pretty big deal, so we're glad to have him in the industry, and the wines are phenomenal. I also wanted to point you to our Explorer Club, which if you didn't take advantage of the Cyber Monday sale the last 2 days, you missed it. We had some exclusive wines that are unfortunately sold out, that we got some allocations from wineries, and they were sold out months ago, and then we had just a bit of it, and it went away. So get on our website, marylandwine.com/explorer, and you can buy gift certificates, basically gift cards for upcoming wine club allocations, buy someone an annual subscription to it. So we're thrilled to be doing that, because our wineries are producing amazing wines, and this is a nice way to taste them without driving all over the state. So with that, cheers to everybody. Thank you. Enjoy.